give you a tour, a day tour of Metaxuegio and show you the goods and bads about it. So you will have so much fun with me today. I'm in Metaxuegio, border with Omonia, and the whole region is full of heritage protected houses like that nobody wants to actually touch because of the strict legislation around it. So as you see, all the houses are practically abandoned, and there are two reasons why. One reason is because these particular properties don't have an owner, so it's been owned like by some families, let's say until 20 years ago, and that particular person who owned it died and left these particular houses as an inheritance to, the relatives. Now, normally the relatives, in order to accept the inheritance, will have to accept the liability of the house or a bunch of debts. So, and sometimes the debts are huge because Greek people have a good tendencies of not paying their tax or their real estate fees or anything like that. So as a result, we end up with these gorgeous buildings that are all over central Athens, abandoned. So nobody wants to touch it for several reasons. One, because the renovation of this particular beauty, it's 4 times more expensive than the average house, and obviously it takes hundreds of thousands, even though that, for example, this one is been painted from the outside, and that's most probably governmental money. There is a grant that the government is offering to its owners to renovate the building from the outside, and they're covering the cost, but the inside, it's still a shell. So many reasons why. One is because it's a very expensive building to maintain. Two is because potentially whoever owned it in the past gave it to somebody and they don't want to accept the inheritance. And another option is because somebody died and there is no inheritance, so nobody knows who owns it and nobody knows who are the relatives who might take over the property. So as a result, they are hanging in the air, as I would call it, because they don't have an owner. And this is most of these heritage buildings in all over central Athens. There is another factor. So for example, the heritage building structurally cannot be changed. So you cannot change the structure, you cannot extend it or anything like that. And even if you would extend it, the extension will take years to get licensing and permits. One over here, which is already a shell. So somebody who might own it, they are hoping for this particular building to collapse so that they could potentially transform it into a parking spot like next door, or sell it as a plot of land. Now, even if they sell it as a plot of land, there is still a risk, because in this particular area it's very risky to build basements, as we are in geographic center of Athens and it's like less than 1 kilometer away from historic center. So any attempt of digging down below the surface, it will have the high risk of you ending up with the historians coming and checking, supervising. And if you find any historic like any historic thing, like a glass or a jar or anything, you might end up with your land being confiscated as a historic site. And from what I understood, they pay nothing. They will not cover your costs and they will not pay the value of that land. So you're ending up losing it in a way.